Ladies and gentlemen, lend me your ears.
Hi, this is your host Q, live and direct from the Psyche Lab studio, New Delhi. Welcome to the Groundbreakin, where we sit down with creatives, design and business pioneers to discuss their journeys, process, and approach. If you're listening to this podcast for the first time, consider subscribing. Also, check out our website, where we are working on a newsletter and a slowly growing design community on Discord, where we have weekly design live session every Saturday, where we learn something new. If you're listening to it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, give us ratings. It helps us to reach to bigger audience, and also because we are doing one episode a week and excited about the future. As always, we value the feedback of our listeners, so please reach out to us with any comments or questions you may have. You can also shoot me a mail mentioned in the podcast description. For this episode, we have Ravinder Kumar, aka Ravinder Design, a talented artist who's been making waves in the world of 3D visuals. His work is a solid slap of 90s desi Indian nostalgia that's captured the attention of millions around the globe. In fact, one of his pieces has been seen by a staggering 40 million people. But what sets him apart is not just his technical skills, but also his approach to creativity. We discuss the difference between simply knowing a tool and truly being creative. This is Groundbreaking. Yeah, Groundbreaking. How's it going, Ravinder? How are we doing today?
Hey, but I'm good.
What's
All
happening?
good. Yeah, everything is good.
All right, so I'm very excited to have you on the podcast, Ravinder, and I've been seeing a lot of really good stuff out there, and I'm really excited to talk about all of it, and a lot of it is made me reach out to you was the nostalgia I got from your posts.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, tell us something about yourself, Ravinder. What have you been up to?
So this is, my name is Ravinder, I would say. I'll start with my introduction first. So my name is Ravinder. I live in Gurgaon, India, right? So I live with my parents. So I'm married, I have a kid, which is again naughtier thing. When today's person I've ever met. So that's how I can see. That's me. And I think that's my basic introduction.
Yeah, you're a family man, Ravinder, and I mean, so okay, let's just talk about what you've your quick career trajectory as to were you a person who were constantly learning design or working around 3D is this something that which came a little later in your career?
If you say learning 3D, yes, it came a little late. So I can probably reveal that it's my second year into Blender. Before that, I was like Cinema 4D guy. I used to follow that in terms of because that has very user friendly UI. But you can say that in terms of 3D, yes, I started later on in my career path. But as you say, my career trajectory. So I actually, I've initially I started my career as a graphic designer. So I used to, after my graduation, I did few design, let's say institutes like there's a called Oxford Software, right? So that's a small institute in Kusaro. Then I started my career there. I was learning web designing, graphic designing, web designing there. Then after that, I moved to arena animation. Right, because initially I didn't find that much very exposed that gives me lots of exposure into the design. But then I when I moved to arena, there I got bit of little more exposure into design. So initially I started my journey from after graduation. So there was a time when my father had this clipping in the newspaper that I think he showed me. Okay, this is the news too. You can probably try it out, right? So it's a graphic design course. And I thought, okay, let's see. What is it? Then I went to that. We did bit of interview session, so-called interview when they used to be done. Then we started with one course which is called web designing and graphic design. There, I came across this Photoshop thing where people are cutting each other's face and they are morphing their faces. That actually that clicked my graphic design. That actually boosted my interest into graphic design. So, and I think I remember at that point of time that one of my teacher, he was actually practicing 3D. So I think he was working on 3D Max, and he's like animating some wall. I think that was my first exposure into 3D. That I really like that that thing when he's like animating that thing, right? So then I lose interest around that, and we actually moved to, because my course was focused on graphic design and animation. So we didn't cover any 3D. Then after that I started with one of my job at that. I think that's into HTML design and all, right? So then after 1 month, I feel that okay, this is not the right thing which I should do. Then I think, and after that I moved to arena animation to gain more more learning into graphic design. Then after finishing that that course after 1.5 years, then I started with one of my job, right? So that is more into like, and again into graphic design. That's a small company, but again that gives me lots of exposure, because there I think I was the single designer, right? I'm actually doing all the graphic design, creating web pages, animating in Flash, and yeah. So that was another good experience for me. Then after that, I see somewhere there's a term called communication designer. Actually, I was visiting some of the profile, right? So there see that term. Then I thought, okay, let's see, okay, what is it? Because I found that profile very interesting, and I think at that point of time, I was very curious to to learn new things. And that thing actually, and I was looking at the profile. He was doing lots of branding, advertising. So that feels very exciting to me. Then I searched about lots of institutes that gives this kind of education. Then I thought, okay, let's move to this, maybe some NID, right? National Institute of Design. But I think I remember that when I went there with my dad, I think all the I think the admissions were over, right? Then I came across this institute called Begin Indeed, right? It's in New Delhi, right? They actually providing this kind of education. So I opted that course called advertising and graphic design. So that's a diploma course. There I spent 4 years. Then after that, I think in parallel I was doing some jobs and all. Then I moved to, and after finishing that course, I moved to NIIT. So that is my big break, because NIIT, I think that point of time, it was very good company. And again, I was like one of the designer. They have like very big pool of designers. And there I was like responsible for creating all those animations, visuals for e-learning. That was again very a good exposure, because NIT at that point of time I find very realistic and quality kind of work. So, and I think there with one of my friend, I actually started implementing some 3D elements. I think that was the first time I actually get exposed to Maya. So we were creating some background animation, some transition elements that again pulled over to Flash, make that flat animations, and then bring over to their learning courses. So there I got a very good response from one of my leads. So then we actually started learning animation, and I would like to share that my second good thing is After Effects. I think I'm doing good in that. So then yeah, so that is one of the thing. Then so I was like exploring different kind of animation styles, and working on my visuals. Again, I'm actually I think I was learning at that point of time different tools, like I came across Cinema 4D, right? Cinema 4D Lite, then it was earlier, then it was introduced later on, right? So yeah, so that was my complete journey. Then I moved to like different organizations. Then I to Honeywell. Then I think again I got hired by NIT. Then I went to I'm in Accenture. So that is my learning curve.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I can see from your journey that you've been hopping around a lot, educating yourself, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, so you were a person, I mean, were you like curious about, okay, I want to learn this as well as, what's there for future for me? Or I mean, what were you thinking? Or you were in a space that, okay, I want to learn more, get better with that.
Yeah, so I mean, all these years, when you are working into that such field, like creative field, right? You instantly came across a little bit different designers, and they are like telling you, okay, you know about this cool After Effects feature, okay, you know about this VR thing, or maybe this, there's a cool new 3D tool. And I thought maybe I should also learn this tool, right? I mean, if you see, I mean, I was like, if I share that, I actually didn't pay attention to after classes in my, all these institutes. But after that, I learned on the job. So, and all those different 3D tools, and I know I still remember that. One of my, I think a couple of my friends were into Blender animation and Blender 3D, and at that point of time, I was doing Cinema 4D. So I used to compare. Okay, this is the very not very good software. It's not very user friendly. See this Cinema 4D, you just instantly get very good renders in one click. So yeah, I used to compare that. But at some point of time, I feel that okay, I mean, if people are like, there are lots of people who are doing, exceptionally great into Blender. Why not? Should I, I should also learn that, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, no, I have to try that once. So that's my, actually,
All right.
yeah,
So I mean, yeah, I mean, this is what happens with a lot of us, that you learn a lot of things on the job. And what do you think about the education, design 3D education scene in Ravinder, in India, Ravinder? I mean, see what I've noticed in these past years is that I mean, okay, there are tier 1 cities where there are design schools, where there are really expensive institutes. Then there are tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities in India where there are institutes like Arena Animation, Mac Animation, and I've seen a lot of people, are really good with the software part, but maybe not with the communication part. What do you think is the lack is happening? Do you think it's a part of an exposure problem, or something else?
I think the part which I probably I experience is definitely the communication. I mean, I know really good designers, I know really good 3D artists, but I think they lack is, I mean, I think they're not getting that platform to showcase their work, right? I mean, at this stage, when I see Instagram, like, I mean, they get that platform, right, where they can showcase their work, they can communicate. But in terms of telling their story, I think they're somewhere lacks, right? I mean, so that's my take.
Yeah, and how do you think it can get better? And again, no one's stopping them to post on Instagram. It's not like a problem of not having not having that mindset of putting things out there. I think for me, it's like a part of exposure. But again, there are like a plethora of tutorials out there. But what do you think is going wrong in this space?
I think I would say, I mean, they should not think that if someone is judging them. I think I'm also from that that category where I used to don't have to speak much. I mean, I was at point of time I was like creating only, right? I'm not able to communicate my work, or not able to tell my story. But I think at some point of time, I think they have to break that barrier. They have to like come forward and just say whatever they want to say. I mean, it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to stumble. It's okay to not able to be clear at one point of time. But I think when you get used to that custom, or maybe to that exposure, or maybe to that system, right? I think you will get better.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I also think that I mean, I think there's still a big lack in terms of the quality of education these institutes are providing. Because in the end, you are basically a person who's really good with Maya or 3ds Max, or or a really good person who's good with rigging. But yeah, I mean, I think more of that creativity happens in these spaces. Yeah. So all right. So I mean, were you also, as you mentioned, that you were also part of that system where you were just creating and not putting yourself out there. So what happened that you started posting on Instagram?
So first of all, I just want to reveal one secret. So before posting on Instagram, I used to practice a lot. I mean, I can probably say that okay, when you see my laptop, you can find it's not thing to reveal, but you can find Blender as well, right? Back days and in other companies, I used to have all those different mini tools where I used to experiment. I used to experiment, but not able. I was like experimenting and just deleting that work. That's it. So I had that mindset. Okay, when you practice one thing and when you delete it, and now you learn that funda, right? How you can create that XYZ effect. But later on when you delete it, you have that again. You have to start from scratch. And that when you have that intention to start from scratch, that's your learning, right? When you are not saving it and you are recreating it, it's how you learn. I mean, according to me, because you are recreating it. Anyways, we are like practicing again and again. So
And also, I think that's that. I mean, you said it. I mean, this is how you learn something. You first copy what's already there. You try to make whatever is already there, and you make your own thing. Then you iterate.
yeah.
That's a really good.
In fact, when I was learning that I was in Oxford Software Institute, so I know that time when I don't have that internet connection, I used to go to the cyber cafes, right? So I had this pen drive, or I think that was a CD, when you call that rewritable CD, right? So I used to go to the cafes, and there was a site called Photoshop Cafe, right? Then what I've done was I went there and I downloaded all those tutorials, like save as web page. I used to save them and just came back home and just start practicing all those different tutorials. I think I know that I created a repository of 1.3 GB
Wow.
of data at that point of time. I used to practice a lot those Photoshop tutorials, Photoshop, Illustrator. So that's how I learned.
So basically, you made a repository of inspiration of things which are
Exactly.
already there, which you were
Yeah.
rebuilding, remaking
Yeah.
in order to learn a software,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Yeah. I think I can. matlab, right now it's like a lot of I mean, you already have so much out there right now that you don't really understand of having the value of having a repository. So that I think I can relate to it.
And it was a challenge. I mean, sometimes you can't get all those images downloaded, right? You just have those texts. I used to follow brush and settings this 5 3, and I finally got that output. But whatever it is, but I know the steps. I know the drill. So it was also learning. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that definitely shows that you have been a curious person who wanted to do more than what you were capable of.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I would say. But yeah, definitely. Just want to share at this point of time. I would say if someone is starting now, I would say they start learning the tool. That is one definitely sure. One person has to learn the tool. But after learning, they have to like practice. They have to come up with their story how they can perceive that tool. For example, if you learn how to create maybe a cloud in Photoshop, maybe use that technique to create an artwork, or maybe use that cloud somewhere in your artwork, right? You have to apply that learning in your own artwork, right? So try and see what best you can create from that, after learning that.
Yeah, that's right. That makes sense. So again, I mean, for a lot of us, it just we start this journey of posting out on social media, but we always try to find inspiration to constantly post, constantly put our work out there. What was your inspiration of constantly putting out there? Because I can see you started with, I think, putting a lot of tutorials out there. I mean, initially you started with already made tutorials and you were rebuilding it, but later you started doing your own thing and made it very very special for you. So I mean, how was that journey for you?
So initially I started with I know something, and I feel like I can probably share that as well. Maybe there are like few tutorials which are already there, but I thought maybe we can recreate in terms of sharing that over to this platform. Then I probably start recreating it. But after that, later on I find that let's start doing something different. Then I started with creating little bit of animations. If you see that there's a hand animation, or maybe there's a P animation which is getting something, there's hand which is like clicking all those buttons. Maybe I think I started with all those different mini animations. Then I think there are like times when I think did a lot of experiment kind of work. Then after that I feel that I think now what's my story? Then I come to this 90s series, right? And there are like few times when I got my new system, then I feel like let's start with building something which is more powerful, which I didn't do that at my other times, which I do when I don't have that so much powerful system. I started with pushing my boundaries towards more quality, and what best can be done that with all those new tools, or maybe new strategy. Maybe let's put that rendering meter towards high and let's see what output we can get. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I can see from your profile that you were creating, you were iterating, you were creating your own thing, you were making your you're taking things from the internet and making something out of your own. Then suddenly this desi, this Indian subject came to your portfolio, and I mean, you started making something which was relevant to to Indian middle class, right? So how
Yeah,
did that happen? I mean, I'm sure there was a lot of thinking involved, or was it just a try? Because I mean, I think you hit that you made this you made this the kitchen roti roller
roller, right, right,
yeah,
right,
roti
right.
roller animation, and it got 40 million views. So,
Yeah.
I mean, tell us something about that. I mean, what were you thinking behind, behind creating, and what was the thought behind creating this? And tell us some nice stories about it.
Yeah, so I think that was, I guess, when I started experimenting with different things. So I thought maybe, I was like, watching that donut tutorial. Again, that was my all-time favorite because that's, I think, every artist should be there, and I think it should be like, he came that series when he was like learning that that donut, right? And then I thought maybe let's create something. And I was like, seeing all those different, different posts, and like I was also searching on Pinterest, and I see what is Indian, right? What can be done using Indian term, right? Then I thought maybe okay. Then I came across this visual called roti. I thought okay, maybe let's create a roti first. And I thought no, let's step back and see okay what can be done with that donut, dough, that flour dough. Then after that, I thought I think dough can't be like complete without a dough roller. Then I created that roller model. Then again, when I thought, okay, let's model some hands. But I think at that point of time, I was not very comfortable doing all those, organic modeling, hands and all. I think that shouldn't be the good visual to add here. Then I thought maybe let's add some wires. Let's make an automated thing. Because I think there was time even when we used to see all those TVC ads, roti, dough, rollers and things, right? Then it came this idea to make that automated machine. Then I added few couple of wires in it. Then I call it out. Okay, let's render it out. So then after publishing that, when I got good responses, and the people are started liking it, and I saw that face. I used to remember that time when I started Instagram. I see like people are like screen sharing, and they're like screen recording. I used to see their notification. They are getting 100 followers, 100 messages, 100, all those different just to 100 everything. I used to remember that when should I get that kind of responses. Then when after making this, there was a time when I was sleeping, and in the morning I see all the 1,000 followers are reaching. I said, wow. I mean, I think that something good has happened now. And the most interesting thing, if you see that all those different comments, I mean, girls and boys are saying, I mean, this machine is made in, this is actually a machine. And there's a time when, there's few, ladies actually reaching out to me, and they're like asking me whether this machine is available for sale or not. So I thought, ma'am, this is not a machine. It's just a 3D render. Then, okay. Then I thought, okay, now it's, taking doing some magic. So yeah.
So it
So it
basically
basically
reached a
reached a
normal audience
normal
who don't
audience who
know
don't know
you anything
anything
about what
about what
3D is.
3D is.
Yeah. And they're like making me that they're like feeling okay, this is a real machine. That's a good achievement for me. So
Yeah. And again, I think that was the beginning of you creating, more desi reels, more
yeah.
Indian
Then I
oriented.
then I actually figured out, okay, this is like India. I mean, roti is something which we know as whether it's any part of India, people actually recognize roti, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone know, okay, what is a roti? What is a bread? Okay, they know this, okay, this shape. So I thought maybe let's create something which relates to India. Okay, maybe let it be a background music. I mean, if you see my reels from there, I used to, have that Indian music. It's okay to have like, all those entertaining dance numbers in the background that people can enjoy after seeing your, whatever you have created.
So
So
basically, you try to, until you
Understood the
understood the
language,
language, what
yeah,
people wanted to, see. And I think you also, but again, Ravinder, it's like, I mean, so you came up with the more posts with more Indian context. But if you notice, it has some thought behind it. I mean, it's not like everyone would understand it, but still, I mean, I think it's maybe really it's maybe related to people who are born in the 90s.
yeah.
So were you like trying to communicate how your childhood has been through your through
Yes.
these?
Yes, I mean, before starting that 90s nostalgia, I'll just want to reveal that. See, I'm from New Delhi. I used to live in Parganj. That's my first home. That's in New Delhi, and my mom comes from Delhi 6. So I know that culture. What is there in small streets of India? I mean, small streets of Delhi, I would say. So I know, okay, I know that people are used to play with different marble balls, which we call as kanche, right? And we used to have that lattu. We used to play with all those different friends. We know that shot, right? We know that movement, because now if you being as an adult, if you remember that time, right? You instantly thought about that visual. Okay, if you remember lattu, you straight away get that picture of lattu is like rolling out, or maybe like people like throwing to that ground, right? You know that image. So I thought maybe let's capture that moment, right? So if you see all the shots, I used to try to have that certain kind of motion in it. So that's how I figure out, okay, let's create a series out of it.
Awesome. Make sense. So yeah, I mean, this is awesome, man. I mean, Arvind, I mean, I saw one of that. I, in fact, I didn't know about, that roller hitting a 40 million, views. But what really affected me was your Indian desi street meal, which
Yeah,
got
yeah,
me to reach out to you.
yeah.
So I mean, yeah, you have been a person who's really enjoyed it and play those games, and or I mean, how do you, I mean, how do you think about all this? I mean, do you like make a list of things, or okay, you have like a, or it just, okay, just clicks your head, okay, I'm gonna just do this.
So this is from I would say this is from my experience, right? I mean, I mean, let me just open my few reels. I mean, if you see this shot of, let's say, Mother Dairy, if you just see, okay, Mother Dairy, what is it, right? If you see that shot, I mean, we all know, okay, there's a Mother Dairy booth, and there used to be certain park in the background, or there is a truck which is there, which is used to like as a filling machine. So we know that visual. So then I thought, maybe let's create in a 3D. Or if you see that Parle G biscuit, right? And there is a tea cup as well. I mean, we know that okay, this is the most interesting thing that we used to. I think it's a deadly combination for each one of us, right? Parle G biscuit. I think each one of us has tried it,
Yeah.
right? Or maybe we saw it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I thought maybe let's create that shot. Let's try it. Maybe we can bring that same emotions when we used to eat that Parle G biscuit along with with a cup of tea. So, and if you see that, I use that glass cup, which I think if you see small shops, or
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
these
Really
these
iconic.
desi addas, yeah, it's a very iconic image.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, in fact, if you see all those, there's a play called Pittu. It's a game, very small game, and we used to play in with different teams, and we used to have like different small kids, like we used to have that shot where there's a ball has to hit all those marbles and all, right? So that shot actually very interesting for each one of us, because we tried to hit that shot, but if that misses, that's a sad story. But if it hits, then it's a very crazy moment.
Yeah.
We used to
Yeah.
we used to run it out, and each team has to fulfill their task and all. So I tried to capture that shot, which is like the most interesting thing in that gameplay. In fact, the Jungle Book series, if you saw that, so I used to have that house. I mean, we used to live in that small house. So I think most of the items are like kind of resembling to that. In that, if you see that scene, so that resembles my old house. So if you see all those switches and all those placement of glass, all those tray, all those 90s houses used to be like that only.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
if
that's right. So basically, through your 3D, I mean, you get to relive those moments, and
yeah,
helps. And
yeah,
I think a lot of people felt the same. I mean, it feels the same.
Yeah.
I saw this recent reel of yours where it's there's a deck in a bus, inside a bus, and music's playing, and all the
correct,
numbers are typical desi music from the early 2090s.
correct.
And it instantly clicks if you've ever traveled in the north of India in a bus, or even in the southern part of India.
Yeah,
You and it instantly kicks that nostalgia, in
Yeah.
you.
yeah.
So amazing job with that, Ravinder.
So that is I think, which I think all of us has somehow or somewhere experienced that thing. Maybe if you see all those numbers, right? That first album, I mean, it's a huge favorite of any time. And if you see that, if you see that scene, you see that okay, it's a truck environment or maybe a truck or a bus. I mean, people used to listen that song. It's a very crazy song if you see that. And
Yeah.
same with other numbers. I mean, you see
Yeah.
all those that DDLJ song. I mean, that movie is again, it's running these days as well. I mean, if you see Maharashtra, Maratha Mandir is already there, right? And if you see when and how it's getting played, if you see
Yeah.
that Shadi wala environment, right? That
Yeah.
marriage scene, and you
Yeah.
see all those different lights in the background. So I
Yeah.
tried to capture that mood. And if you
Yeah.
see that, I mean, the deck shape is
Yeah.
also changing, right? That
Yeah.
deck model is also changing.
Yeah. I mean, did you research about it, or I mean, how did you? Can you share a bit of the process?
I frankly say, I mean, it's not a research. It's just so I just thought about it. Okay, maybe this could be the deck. Okay, so because
Yeah.
I experienced it. So
Yeah.
we used to
Yeah.
be in there in those ceremonies, right? In those situations. Maybe in South, I thought maybe someone is like relaxing, relaxing on a Sunday morning, and they're like maybe playing that Rosa album, right?
Yeah.
And there's a bright sunny day, so
Yeah.
maybe I thought of that thing.
Yeah, yeah. And again, I mean, for a lot of people who follows you on Instagram and from your work, they don't know that you have a full-time job. So tell me about that, Ravinder. I mean, how do you balance? I mean, when I look at your Instagram, it looks like that. Okay, you're full-time with this, but you have a by day you have a job, and by night you have this whole fan following of desi nostalgia on your profile.
Yeah, I switched profiles after six. So I used to when before six I used to I wear my my job shirt, and after six I used to drop it out. Now I'm an Instagram guy. So I mean, yeah, I have to. It's very tricky to balance these two things. I actually start my day very early. We share that, and after 6, 7, or maybe 8, I used to I generally stop my work, or I try to finish whatever is there, and after 8, or if there is certain idea which I maybe during the day I thought about, or maybe I scribbled about, I used to create that after 8, and after seeing okay, after reaching to a certain point, if I feel that okay, this is going somewhere, right? If I can probably invest some time, then I work overnight. I'll work like 2, 3, and if that needs that some more time, I usually work like say 9. So it's a thing.
Yeah, yeah. And do you think it's because of your it's because of your discipline of getting up on time, and being a father as well. I'm sure it's a really great responsibility that you have. So
Yeah,
I mean, what has worked with you? Is it like the being disciplined, or something, or maybe hungry for creating more?
I would say two things. One is the awesome support from my wife, right? First thing is there, and second is definitely I'm in crazy for 3D. I experience that thing is if I am like weak or if I am ill, if I start working on it, I certainly get my moods brighten up, right? So I get that some kind of energy when working on that 3D, or maybe that 3D piece. I actually sometimes I think that I consider myself as kind of a painter, maybe some artist, where they usually work on their artworks. They collect 20, 30 pieces. They went to that gallery and they showcase their work. I somehow feel the same because I have that certain idea or certain artwork in mind. I work on it, and next day, after 2, 3 days, 2, 3 days, I post that on Instagram. So Instagram is sort of my a gallery where I can showcase my work, my skills.
Yeah, I definitely, I'm not the best person who's, really disciplined about getting up on time, and, and again, forget about being a father, it's like, it's definitely, I mean, you're definitely wearing multiple hats, Ravinder. So, where are you going with this? Because I mean, where are you going with what you've been doing? I mean, I can see that you've been playing around a lot of Indian dishes, really prominent dishes, and I think if you see the quality, it's like it's out there. So what are you gonna? I mean, are you gonna keep yourself towards a specific space where okay, you wanna hit more people with the desi nostalgia, or something?
For now, I think my only goal, there's not a single goal, I would say. I mean, I would say I really like to work on some new things, new stuff. And this is maybe the 90s nostalgia is still not over yet. They have like few more not few. There are like many ideas that I really want to like create, right? And there's also a big thing which I planned for that one. I actually really released that as well in one of my recent reels. So that is one. But I definitely continue want to explore my skills, and I'm actually also bringing that to my daily work. I mean, I'm also supporting some of the initiatives in my company. So I'm also working on few other initiatives there. But in terms of like 3D, I definitely want to bring out that Indian culture. I really want to bring that what is there we missed, and I really want to make that something out of it. Let it be dishes. It's not certain. I mean, I haven't decided. If you see that all my 90s reel, I straight away jump to that. All those different foods like. So it's not a certain thing. It's just an idea. I mean, whatever I feel like, I just start creating it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I think it definitely makes sense. I mean, a lot of I think I really want to ask people who are born in the 2000s if they relate to it or if they feel good about watching these reels, because I think only people from 90s can really really feel it. So do you think it's the same? It's gonna be. I mean, do you think that people who are Gen Zs, do you think it's not gonna be that excited for them? Exciting for them? They must have seen that in the movies and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. In fact, I mean, few most of the things. I mean, if you see the transition, right? All those different songs. That's why I use Bollywood numbers, because I mean they somehow somewhere are related to our memories, right? So that's why I mean people should enjoy watching all these different reels. Whether we are in 2000, you probably hearing all those different songs, right? Or maybe knowing about those different actors and actresses, right? So yeah, I would say if not, I can probably start with my 2000 series. They can probably relate to that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to that, Rinder. And again, I mean, thanks a lot for coming on the podcast, Ravinder. And I'm, really, really intrigued with what you've been doing, and looking forward to what's there to come. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here. I would say it's a really a great platform where artists like us can share their stories. Well, thank you so much for setting this up.